Right, that's going to do it for Sonic Jam. And since you people in the chat demanded for it, it sounds like it's time for... Oh, not that. Let's get those borders out of the way. Sonic 2 on Android. Or the Retro Engine version, if you want to put it that way. We could do two-player mode, I just realized that. But, I think for now... Oh yeah, time for another vote. Are we gonna go with just Sonic, or do we want Sonic and Tails? No Knuckles allowed. I was kind of hoping you guys would pick Sonic 1, because I actually wanted to just force Sonic and Tails in there, because it's cool. It's mind-blowing that you could do Sonic and Tails in the original Sonic the Hedgehog, even if, you know, we've had that kind of stuff in, like, ROM hacks. Although it's kind of funny that it's actually difficult to get that kind of collision to work in, you know, between Sonic 1 and Sonic 2, especially since they had to change how the collision worked, as I think Naka put it. He referred to it technically by saying there would be two Sonics on screen, and this is before that they actually created Tails. And no, we're not doing Knuckles and Tails. This is a Sonic birthday. Thank you. Let's see. I see 1, 2. The Knuckles and Tails is going straight to Sonic and Tails. Too bad. Alright, Sonic and Tails it is. Alright. Oh man, so the last time I actually played this version of the game was when the game launched. And I got upset because when you open this game for the first time on Android... Yeah, that's not right. I'm gonna try and fix that up a bit. Alright, that's better. Come on. So unfortunately I don't really have any... I'm not really planning to play two-player with people because I would have to use my Google Plus account, and that's kind of personal. Sorry. But hey, let's play Sonic 2. Let's see. You know what, we'll go ahead and do the special stages. I just need to get enough rings to do it. Whoops. Messed up. Whoop. Now the difference this time between when I was streaming that, I didn't have a controller that would work correctly. Or at least my wireless controller was kind of acting up, so I couldn't get it to work. But now I got it to work, so hopefully it'll cooperate through the entire run today. And speaking of which, let's see if we can get all special stages in Emerald Hill. Also, I hope you like real 3D special stages. Yeah! Now, I consider this a much better improvement over the special stages in Sonic 1, especially since the rotation... I mean, the timing doesn't really throw me... Well, okay, maybe it does. I know it does throw off the timing for a lot of people, although I don't like the fact that for the Sonic 1 special stages in the Retro Engine version, you can squeeze through certain holes much better than you could in the actual Sonic 1. And that's where it really changes the strategies for me, and in some ways, it could actually probably make the game easier, but, you know, again, for a 20-year-old game, it's just what I'm used to. Although, if I'm not mistaken, another random point that I just want to throw out there is that this is not available in Japan. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't want to do it, because it's easy money. I mean, they don't really have to translate a whole lot. Oh, yeah. Man, I forgot, the Angry Video Game Nerd played through Sonic ROM hacks. And I know our resident ROM hack makers, like Kanasu, and a motley crew of many talented retro folk are very tickled pink about that. In fact, I was actually showing off some of those Sonic ROM hacks to, like, old childhood friends. Man, I think I missed a checkpoint. That sucks. So busy trying to talk to you people. Since my childhood friends were, like, really big on the Saturday morning Sonic cartoon series, and when I showed them that, hey, somebody had made a ROM hack for putting Sally in Sonic 2, like, they were blown away by it. As they should be. Actually, my childhood friends have kids, and one of them, I show them Sonic 2 XL, and yeah. And especially for a kid who is actually really big into Sonic, like, that stuff just tickled him pink. And when I was talking about, like, some other Sonic mods, the kid thought I was talking about Sonic 2 XL. Like, it resonated with him that well with him, which is amazing. And it's still amazing that Sega is still willing to let, you know, places like Retro get away with that kind of stuff. Or even, like, the Sonic Stuff Research Group. Because, you know, most other, especially Japanese developers, don't like to, like, they considered it revealing trade secrets, which, in a way, come on now. In a way, it is true. You know, you really don't want to kind of give away, like, how these games work. Because if you look at, like, the Android App Store or something like that, it is just plagued with a bunch of really bad clones. And, you know, you don't want situations like that happening. So, like, we don't want, we don't want Freedom Planet to happen, even though Freedom Planet is actually a cool game. Uh-oh. Oh, God. Oh yeah, when I say mods, I say it, I also refer to, like, ROM hacks, because it is still modding. But, you know, ROM hacks are obviously a league of their own compared to, like, modding for, like, Sonic Generations or something like that. See, I missed this one. Oh well. We are getting Supersonic, I promise you that. It's not that... These special stages are pretty much nothing to me. Because, like, man, the 3D effects in the special stages for this actually helped me out a huge deal compared to the Sonic 1 redo there. And yes, well, Electricade mentions that Sonic Dash clone, although a Hedgehog Dash wasn't really a Sonic Dash clone because it's not in 3D. It just has a character that looks like Sonic. Although that's probably like a different kind of clone right there, where they just kind of rip off the art assets over the actual gameplay. But there's still like gameplay, things where, the gameplay is directly lifted from like some old SNK arcade game or something like that. And since SNK is in such a disarray, like, a lot of the executives just don't really care, because they're already too busy trying to figure out how the hell to keep that company afloat. Aha, you thought I missed that, didn't you? Well, I almost did. Oh, God. It's kind of weird. This version doesn't carry over like the original Knuckles and Sonic 2, where you go into a special stage and you leave, and then the game lets you keep all the rings that you had, and then you can just get more rings on top of that. And again, I like to try and pay attention to the chat, but I got special stage stuff going on, so I apologize about that. Oh boy. Guys, you have no idea how much easier it is to control this with a controller and not a touchscreen. Well, okay, maybe you do. But again, back when I was streaming this game for the first time, I had to use the on-screen touch controls. And that's where I kind of flubbed some of the jumps and some of the maneuvers that I like to pull off. In fact, in case you guys are wondering what I'm doing here, I'm using my tablet to stream, using a HDMI capture. And really, if, you know, I know people are upset about the fact that, you know, these ports haven't hit, like, Xbox Live Arcade or PlayStation Network, but really, you know, an Android device is not too bad of an investment. It just depends on what you want to do with it. Because while a lot of us like to try and use this for, like, game-playing machines, you can use it for other things. Like, I use my tablet to read books. In fact, I'm currently using it to read Console Wars, which I haven't been able to get that far into, but, you know, just reading up all the stuff that, Tom Kalinske kind of had to go through, especially I think it's the first chapter where it talks about how he was in charge of Matchbox and he had to figure out why a Chinese distributor wasn't pulling in as much money as possible. And, well, I don't want to spoil the book. You should go read it because it's actually pretty insane of like what exactly he discovers of like what exactly is going on. Oh boy. Ah! Don't hit it. Okay. Nice trick spike there. Let's see. I'm gonna try and circle around, see if I can get some more rings. There we go. Of course, you people watching realize once I unlock Supersonic, I am basically going to blaze through the rest of the levels because, you know, again, there's other games that I got that we need to go check out before the end of Sonic's birthday day. I don't want to get hit by these spikes. And what's one of the problems I have with the Retro Engine? Ah, Tails! One of the problems I have is the spike beds sometimes go out of sync when you scroll them onto the screen, and that's a real issue. Unfortunately, it hasn't really been fixed yet, and I don't know if it ever could be. Oh. Alright, I'm gonna try and see if I can read the chat after this. Again, I apologize if I'm missing some important stuff here. Yeah, that's right. Screw you, Tails. Why did I bring you here? Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember why I brought you here. Because there's some cool stuff we can do with our buddy Tails here. Like getting through the Hidden Palace boss that I don't like playing against. Because I don't like playing that boss normally, and I always cheese it every time. Because it is kind of hard to line up the giant bomb that you have to use to disrupt Robotnik's movements. Uh-oh. Ah, I knew I was supposed to go over there. Yeah, sometimes the level design likes to be really deceptive, and yeah. If you don't hard remember these special stages, and they are basically memorization, it kind of becomes difficult. I knew it. There we go. I really would like to know what Mark Cerny thinks of these new special stages, since he is now the head of PlayStation at Sony. Since he is the guy who created this, and Mark Cerny, as you may know, is the creator of Marble Madness, and that's where these special stages come from. Is some crazy programming trickery with the Sega Genesis. Oh. Uh-oh. We kind of have a problem right now. I think my controller is desyncing, and let's see if I can show that off on stream real quick. So, if you go to the control menu when you have a Moga controller connected, this is what you see, and this is what I'm using right now. And while it's neat, and pretty useful for playing stuff like this on stream, it runs into a lot of problems. And like right now, I'll hit jump right now, now, and there's a slight delay, and you guys probably can't quite see it, but it's there, and it is bugging me, so I'm probably gonna have to reset in just a moment. Not the stream, but like the controller, and I'm gonna do that right now, actually. That gives me ample time to check out what you guys are talking about. Hang on just a second. Alright, let's see. I'm trying to resync the controller here. The magic of Bluetooth, ladies and gentlemen. And as much as I'd like to try and use a, you know, USB controller, like that's one of the problems I have with this tablet, is that I'm limited to one port, which is also what I use to charge up the tablet. And I don't want this thing to die on me while I'm streaming right now. Also, one thing I never really discovered until, I don't know, well after I first started playing the game, is this spring here takes us to a much-needed checkpoint. Ooh. And sometimes that monkey likes to get into the floor there in this version, and I don't know why. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't have enough rings, but there's a checkpoint there, and that's the only way we can get to it. Alright. We should be good now. Come on. Yeah. Haha. And it's kind of funny, the widescreen actually helps you see where exactly that platform is, because it extends just far enough. Alright. So my apologies about that slight delay there. Alright. And here's a trick I like to employ. If you tap against the slope, you'll be able to stay on that angle very easily, and that's how you can get some of these rings here. Whew! That was a close one. And of course, we can always restart on the special stages if it really comes to that, but let's try and not have to do that. Oh, this is my favorite. So yeah, I'm just tapping to make sure I can line up with those lines of rings very easily. Whoa. Ah! I think there's a... Oh. Yeah. Oh well. I'll have to do it. So every time I do that, it costs me a life. And you can only do it in this version of the game, so... Hey. I want Supersonic, and I don't want to have to keep replaying these special stages, so... Yeah. I promise you this won't take long. Not this time. Alright. Okay. Yeah, there's another one of these on the third round, and I can very easily line up against the ring line, so I can collect that stuff very easily. There we go. So yeah, as daunting as 200 rings is, as long as I can line up those lines very easily, should be no problem with this special stage. Oh. Alright, should be down here, to the right. Oh, there's two at the top here, and then the trail of rings, and then we're good. See, that wasn't so bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just 2 more to go. And if I didn't miss that checkpoint at the beginning, we would have all 7s by this next checkpoint. My bad. We'll have to get Supersonic in Chemical Plant. And my controller's off sync again. I don't know why. Yeah, I'm gonna have to reset the controller. If it does it one more time, I'm gonna switch to touch controls and just kinda tough it out. Because I don't want to have to keep doing this. No! Alright, we're resetting. So yeah, in terms of like Bluetooth controllers, I certainly don't recommend this Moga controller. The only reason why I got it is because it came free, because Power A, who was the manufacturer of these Android controllers, was actually offering them for free at one point. And if you didn't jump in on it, you missed out on a free copy of Sonic CD. Since this controller actually works with every Retro Engine game, and that includes Sonic 1 and Sonic 2, Sonic 4 Episode 2, and of course Sonic CD. I see Limotoko uses an iCade controller. Of course, iCade is primarily for iOS. There we go. But this person uses the iCade 8-bitty, which is a wired controller, I believe. Or at least, no, it's not wired. No. But it basically kind of looks like a 4-button NES controller. Those look neat. I actually have an iCade, like, mini arcade cabinet. Because the Android does kind of support it, but the program like whatever app you're using has to be designed specifically for it. And unfortunately, not that many people actually use anything regarding the iCade API. So it's kind of useless for Android, but it makes for a really cool looking stand in my room. And I got it on clearance, so that's part of why I got it. And hey, guess what? My controller's off sync again. You know what that means. Goodbye, controller. Alright. Bear with me if I mess up the video, because here we go. I'm gonna have to move the tablet now. Right. Yeah, here's the touch controls as you see here, but we're gonna try and see if we can make that disappear. Alright. Alright, so sorry about that. And of course, it had to go at the worst time possible. That's fake. Oh, here we go. Again, gotta kind of tap your way through. Uh-oh. Yeah, right. Alright, if this keeps happening, I'm gonna stop restarting. Hey, I blame the controller, don't blame me. And I think that's kind of one of the biggest problems about Android. Like, Android can be a really cool gaming platform, but I think there's something wrong with the Android iOS that's causing, you know, mishaps like that to happen. Of course, it doesn't help that people also make really crappy hardware, and for the longest time, Android hardware was just utter crap. Especially when it came to, like, phones, when it came to, like, the Ouya has some weird problems. This tablet, obviously, which is an Asus Transformer Prime TF201. And it's got your favorite of mine, NVIDIA Tegra, powering this beast, so... I knew it was going to trick me, but I got a trick up my sleeve. There we go. That's kind of funny. The Amazon Fire TV, which is Amazon's Android-based console, actually has, you know, the more recent Sonic Retro Engine ports, including Sonic 1 and Sonic 2. Oh, that's bad. Again, if I mess up, we're not going to restart, because we want to truck on. Ah, Tails, I hate you. Hey, I think we made it. Whew, that was close, folks. Right, Tesper is talking about the Nexus tablets, and yeah, those tablets are pretty good. They do, as he mentions, it does get rid of a lot of the really silly bloatware, you know, apps that are really unnecessary for your device. The only problem is it doesn't have external storage for any version of the Nexus. And I did get that. I did get a Nexus 7 for my dad, and again, the only real issue he's ever had is the fact it doesn't have external storage, and he's gone through all these really strange workarounds just to get it to work. Also, check this out. No horizontal screen scrolling, which is... I don't know if that's possible because of the Retro Engine. I kind of feel like the actual area of the stage is a little bigger than that, but you know, who's really going to complain, right? Alright, we only need one emerald, and we're already on Chemical Plant 1. Oh yeah. If you let go, if you don't hold down, you can cause Sonic to run. And that gets you up here. And we're at full battery power. Good job, Sonic. You didn't have to be so nice for your birthday. I don't know why that popped up. It does that on my tablet sometimes. Especially most recently. I have a cold. What happened? Alright. Trying to remember. I don't think there's a checkpoint for a while, but that's okay. Let's just keep going. Because we don't really need it. Whoops. Alright, see you later, Phone Toth. Thanks for jumping in the stream. I am blown away by the fact that we almost have 50 viewers watching the stream, and I thank you all for jumping in. Again, what we're doing right now is we are playing Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for Android, and we're going to play it all the way through! I just need one more emerald, and I can get Super Sonic. Let's see here. It's incredibly satisfying once you kind of get the idea of like how the physics work in a Sonic game. Even if you get too much of a grasp to where you actually do stuff that the developers don't really intend you to do, and kind of break the game. Although in some ways, that actually makes this game have a lot more depth, and makes it, you know, much more mechanically interesting that way. And that's part, I think, and of course, you know, I think that's part of why, you know, the original Sonic games have resonated so well with people over the years, even though it is still, by and large, a hold right to win kind of game. But how you play the game can definitely change based on, you know, how familiar you can become with the physics. Because, like, you can just kind of generally play the game, and I guess if you don't really feel like exploring that much, and there's not really that much on doing so, other than, like, hey, guess where you can go to, you know, it becomes less interesting. Especially since Sonic games can become incredibly punishing for those who like to explore. And, of course, especially with, like, newer Sonic games, it actually works against you if you really do try to explore, like Sonic Rush. That's probably why it's, like, not really a 2D Sonic game I like to go back to. Oh, God. Sorry, I got psyched out there. Ah! Yeah, Special Stage 7 basically kind of retreads certain gimmicks, and I think it literally just copy-pastes stuff. And we only need 10 rings because... this. As long as Sonic has over 210 rings, I don't care. Because I don't care about Tails at all. Alright. We have a sizable lead. Let's see if we can hold on to it. Because I don't remember the layouts for the enemy placement. But I think it's pretty safe to say we did it. Yeah! Seizure-inducing Emerald. Oh, the super secret special stage. I'll try it. Unfortunately, I am not very good at it. Uh-oh. Video. Now Sonic becomes static. Just a second, folks. That's my tablet going off. There we go. Hello. There's the video again. Uh-oh. Tails! Alright. Oh yeah, so here's something you guys probably don't know. If Tails is playing with you, what you can do is manipulate him to fly. You hold up, and then press jump, and he'll start flying. And yes, you can grab onto him, and if you want to let go, you just hold down and jump. Like that. So let's try that again. There we go. Not the easiest thing to do with a tablet, but hey. Work with what I got, alright? Almost died there, Tails. Because we're about to get to the one part of the stage that people love to hate. And you know what? We're going to go ahead and go through it. Because I barely... That's it. We're done. We did. Alright. Supposedly you can actually break free from that, but I think that depends if you're just playing with Sonic by himself. And there's actually a section down here that was added into this version of the game. Thanks for that, Tails. And while there's nothing to the right of here, I can at least do this. Aha! Thanks, Tails. Don't kill me this time. Please. Alright. So if you're patient, you can get through that very easily. Whoops. Or, as I've gotten used to doing these days, even though there's a faster way to get out of here, is kind of angle Sonic to where he'll jump up at maybe a 25-degree angle, 30, and get out of the water very quickly and easily. In fact, I think there's something over there if I do it one more time. Or am I too late for that? I'm probably too late for that. Because there's this area here. Yeah, this is too early. Or this is too late, rather. But there's a section up here that I wasn't really aware of for years. And that's one of the things I was talking about, how, you know, you keep playing Sonic games and you discover stuff you've never seen before. Well, this is one of them. You could basically bypass that one section entirely. The water section. And then there's a section up there that only Tails and Knuckles can get to. And then you can just drop down here. Oh god! I almost... No, die! Alright. Hey, I'm Supersonic. Remember that? Alright. So let's see if I can take a drink of water without disrupting the video. Much better. Since I've been playing Sonic games for so long, I've gotten to the point where the underwater stages, or, you know, at least the sections where you have to go underwater, don't really faze me anymore. But, you know, I've talked with people, talked with friends who are just traumatized by, you know, having to go underwater and listening to the countdown timer. Yeah, it was probably scary for me too, although I kind of come to realize that the developers had made liberal use of placing, like, air bubble currents, like, everywhere. So you can pretty much, you know, make sure that you don't drown whatsoever. Oh, my Shadow impression apparently sounds like my Duke Nukem impression. No, I'm not, well, I'm pretty good at impressions, but not so much about Sonic characters, or Duke Nukem, even if I try to sound like Duke Nukem a lot. And don't do a very good job. Whew. Come on, video, don't do that. If you go check out our Sega Channel Retro YouTube channel, you can see I've archived the stream that we did when the game this version of the game launched, and I did a bunch of like debug menu stuff, which is definitely worth checking out. But you get to see a bunch of weird stuff that they put in, like the green grounder, or green-bluish grounder. That's... ah, come on. It's kind of akin to the Adventures of Sonic grounder character. Nice reference there. There we go. And of course there's the new ball physics in Oil Ocean debug that they also placed in, which is also very amusing. And the new layouts that Tails and Knuckles can go through, which is actually pretty impressive. Alright. Alright, I need to double time it. I'm trying to get Supersonic, but I'm near the end, so I may as well just kind of get through that. I know Knuckles players, if you play this game online in 2-player, Knuckles players have a lot of issues with those pillars that pop up. Ah! Come on, Tails, help me. Oof. Yeah, once Tails starts flying, every time you hit the jump button, he just keeps going up, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. Oh, terrible. Again, I blame the fact that I'm trying to make sure that the, my video feed here doesn't disrupt. That's my excuse, anyway. Fine, I'll go get a ring. I usually don't have this much trouble, I swear. That's not gonna keep happening. Not to mention, you know, I'm trying to cheese this boss. Ah, come on. Tails. But yeah, you can cheese through these fights pretty easily with Tails there. That's why that's why it's so funny to do that. Although I know that people can get upset about the fact that there's like these additional abilities, but again, you can't really trigger them unless you really know how to do it. And of course, with the touchscreen controls, it's probably easy to do it on accident. Like, I'm trying to hold left here, and then you can just get Tails to fly very easily. So, I guess for reasons like that, I can understand if people can get upset, but, you know, like, for them to... like, I know people will try and judge their purchasing decisions based on stuff like that, and I always think that's so weird. I know when Japanese developers try to put out, you know, re-release their vintage collection, you know, they want to try and make it as authentic as possible. And that's why you see games like on Virtual Console for the Wii have, like, you know, keep all the slowdown issues as the games normally did, like 20 years ago or whatever. That's all well and good, but then you just get into this huge debate of, like, you know, is it better to just kind of enhance the game as much as possible, or do people kind of rely on some of that nostalgia to be able to, like, pull off certain gimmicks and tricks? Like, say if you wanted to play, like, I think Gradius 3 on Super Nintendo, say if the Virtual Console emulator, hey, remember this? Say if the Virtual Console emulator actually made it to where there was no slowdown whatsoever. Well, it would actually make it a lot harder for people because they're so used to playing the game with all those slowdown issues, because they could actually time their shots much better, and it makes it easier for them to judge certain actions. Because remember, you know, not everybody is going to want to play these games for like 20 years. And if you know, you have somebody come back to this game after a decade, they probably won't remember how exactly everything works or where everything is. And in a way that might actually kind of diminish their experience of the game further from that. Of course, you know, if going by this game, you know, like, there's not really any kind of slowdown issues that you really need to worry about. But then, you know, you get stuff like Tails flying that you got out of Sonic 3. For me, like, this kind of stuff with, like, Tails flying, Knuckles gliding, all that stuff is cool because it makes the games feel more consistent. There we go. And I know how much people like to harp on the Game Boy Advance ports of, like, let's say, the Donkey Kong Country games. What I thought was cool was they actually, in some ways, they actually may enhance the game for the better. Now, the brighter graphics are, you know, because, you know, they try to make it easier for people who own the original Game Boy Advance model. And really, you know, screw Nintendo for that. That really kind of sucks that they never really addressed that issue way back in the day, and it caused, you know, certain games to look washed out, especially since, you know, like, they eventually released the Game Boy Advance SP or the Game Boy Player. And of course the sound hardware for the Game Boy Advance was kind of a bummer because it would actually ruin certain Super Nintendo soundtracks because of the, you know, like, you just couldn't reproduce it the exact same way. So even games like Super Mario World sound pretty different. And of course, you know, going back to, like, the Game Boy Advance Donkey Kong Country games, DKC3 had to get an entirely different soundtrack because the original soundtrack was made much more atmospheric. So trying to convert that to the Game Boy Advance hardware is pretty much impossible. So that's why, you know, the music was redone by one of the, basically, like, one of the legendaries of the DKC series. And it was actually a pretty decent soundtrack, but, you know, for nostalgia purposes, it's kind of a bummer. And that's just the one thing of, like, you know, the thing about nostalgia. It does play tricks on you. It really does. Actually, that's a good example. Look at the bush. Let's see if we can find another one of these bushes in Hilltop Zone here. I'm gonna come up to it in just a moment. Also, you'll notice that like, it took me years to realize that all these graphics are basically just Emerald Hill Zone, but just much more blue. Cheap tricks, guys. Cheap trick. Not tricks, just one trick. There. We're actually bypassing a very huge section that was added to this version of the game, but you can only play as, you can only get there with Tails or Knuckles. Although we can get there with Tails now, but it's not very friendly to Sonic. And I am not really trusting my controller now. Alright, so this bush right here, you'll probably notice on the stream right now, there's like a lot of very small pixels that make it up. And I was actually talking about this when I was playing Spider-Man last week, where developers would go through for tricks like, you know, that kind of cross-hatching, where you can actually make it look transparent on a CRT television. Well, obviously, you're probably looking at this on an LCD monitor, or an LED smartphone, or tablet, or, like, through, like, a Wii U gamepad, or something like that. Well, yeah, you can watch Twitch on Wii U. So, people remember games very differently based on, like, how they've played it. Especially since, you know, I would probably argue these days, there are probably more people who have played, like, Super Mario World through an emulator compared to an actual Super Nintendo console, because of the audience that it's been presented to. Can basically get a very different perspective of, like, what they see as a retro game. Oh boy. And I also realize I'm not really paying attention to the Twitch chat. I'm sorry, I'm trying to make this game look good and not do that. Come on, game. Let's go. Let's go. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So, again, back to my point of, like, you know, how people play more games through, like, emulators or something like that. I kind of feel like people are so used to Super Nintendo games sounding like crap, because they would play their emulator through, like, SNES 9X or ZSNES, where it has a lot of sound emulation issues. And I hate that, because, you know, a lot of people are saying, like, how Sega Genesis games had better quality music after they've gone back to them over 20 years, and, like, yeah, I guess if you're comparing a Genesis game to a Super Nintendo game through SNES 9X, yeah, I guess the quality's better, but then that's like comparing crap to a work of art. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to say, like, Genesis sound is crap compared to the Super Nintendo because of the sound hardware that the Genesis had to make use of, because I think they both sound good. But I think it leads to a lot of unfair debate if people don't really have the proper configuration of, like, what a lot of these developers intended you to run these games on. And again, you know, you would be playing Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on a CRT television, not a smartphone tablet. It's just a hard balance to make, and, you know, it's hard to preserve. It's, again, you know, games are both a product and art at the same time, and it's hard to preserve art, especially for a video game where you have varying differences of hardware, especially since there's like 2 or 3 different versions of the Sega Mega Drive. And I guess a better comparison would be like, say if you were going to have somebody listen to a Sega Genesis game on, like, a really crappy at-games, 40 games in one console. That crap sucks. And anybody who thinks, like, a Genesis game sounds terrible because of that is largely at fault of, like, the developer of the, you know, the manufacturer of that hardware. And that is unfortunate. And I think everybody in this stream can agree with me that that at-games console is just crap. And what's worse is, that the one of the at-games consoles is the only way you can own a legal US copy of Mega Man: The Wily Wars. And isn't that a bummer? Like, the fact that people have to listen to the great music in the Genesis Mega Man game is so good, but it's marred by that really crappy hardware. And don't think I forgot about this. You thought I was going to pull that. Alright. No, I'm not going to skip over this level. Not for Sonic's birthday. Come on now. And we have over 50 viewers, and I think, once again, I thank you all for jumping in. This is so awesome. This is, I don't think we've hit these numbers until I actually started streaming this game for, when this game launched. Actually, I think, that stream got over 100 views, which was an amazing victory for, Sega Channel Retro, which was, at that time, called Video Retro. Alright. Also, curse both Taxman and Stealth. Even though they got this Ripley water action going on in here, there are no air bubbles in this water whatsoever. So when you're running through this level for the first time, it sucks. But that's okay. It's supposed to be a secret level for a reason. Also, don't tell Knuckles I broke the Master Emerald. Are we good? Are we good? Okay. Your silence says you agree with me. And by silence, I mean I'm not reading the Twitch chat. Again, I apologize for not catching anything on the chat. I'm still trying to play through the game and, you know, not make this look tedious. Unfortunately, I am going to cheese through this boss coming up because, again, we got things to cover. We're not going to stop Sonic's birthday on just the 2D Sonic stuff, because I actually want to look into some of the 3D Sonic games. But yeah, kudos to the level artist who, you know, worked on the original Hidden Palace Zone art. And of course, Taxman and Stealth, who got this game. Tails is wigging out. But yeah, kudos to Taxman and Stealth for basically recreating that level based on, you know, all those different screenshots and level layouts that we've seen over the years. Ah. Yeah, I apologize for that long, like, emulation rant, but, you know, I do like emulation for certain things, because it at least allows me to play through, like, games like I never thought I'd be able to ever be able to play. Because it is, you know, it is cool to see, like, services like Virtual Console exist. But, you know, video game preservation is... What?! I got crushed. Oh, gosh. Alright. But, you know, video game preservation is a pretty big deal, especially for, you know, people like us who work on Sonic Retro. You know, if you've read our wiki on both Sonic Retro or Sega Retro, or, hell, even, like, Sonic Cult and places like that, like, as much as developers might hate it, you know, it kind of sucks when some of these games just kind of disappear after like 2 weeks after they've been sold. And then especially when you want to try, like, think of like, I mean, it's sort of a small example, like, think of Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, and like, what kind of challenges would it be to, like, get that game running on newer hardware? Like, are video games even going to be still using game controllers at that point? Now that we have stuff like Oculus Rift, like, starting to become, like, a big thing. Or say if, like, You know, just like basically like if it's just impossible to like recreate those traditional controls, or even licensing issues, like can we even get Wreck-It Ralph to reappear on a future version of Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed? Or, you know what, even Danica Patrick, as much as people don't really care to see her. Oh boy. No! Whatever. Like, just think of, like, those kind of issues, or even just the, like, getting the game to work properly on newer hardware without having to resort to a PC version, if, say if there wasn't one. Say if they wanted to get the Xbox 360 version to work. Like, even, like, original Xbox emulation is really hard to pull off, and we still haven't achieved perfect emulation for original Xbox games, which is, you know, why you don't see Jet Set Radio Future appear more often, or even Sega Saturn. I mean, that said, there is actually decent Sega Saturn emulation, but the really crappy 3D graphics may not be able to be recreated very well on newer hardware, like say if it appeared on the Wii U. You know, they would probably have to make the game look better, because, you know, that's the 3D hardware acceleration they have to work with, and it actually runs at, like, a decent frame rate. Uh-oh, I almost died. Sorry. I don't know how I got down here. I was trying to look at the chat. Oh boy. But yeah, I do kind of wish I could have, like, the chat up in front, and, you know, I know a lot of you have a lot of amazing... I bet a lot of you have a lot of amazing Sonic memories you'd guys like to share. You know, but, you know, again, like, what I like to do for these kind of live streams is try and preserve these games and present them as best as I possibly can, even though I am literally doing this for free. But, you know, one of these days, you know, these games are going to appear in a museum somewhere or something like that. You know, there's already preservation acts that are going on right now. But, you know, trying to get, like, all the original material to, you know, without having to recreate it, it's just going to become harder and harder as time goes on. And, you know, if you wanted to listen to, like, you know, maybe, like, some of the level of detail that people are asking for, yes, I know, thank you, tablet. Maybe some of the level of detail people are asking for are, in some cases, are minute, that are, like, somewhat unnoticeable. Like, you'll remember for this version of of Sonic 2 here, it's actually, it's kind of recreating the sound, and it's much higher quality than what you would have gotten out of an actual Sega Genesis. And that's cool, but, like, some of the touches that you would hear, I'm not that much of a musical expert, but, like, you hear that difference in the music, and it makes you not remember your favorite song just the way that you like it. But, like, how can you recreate that? Or would you want to recreate that? Would it be better to just... Would it be better to just make it, you know, try and enhance everything to just kind of give it a better presentation? But is that entirely a good thing? Like, that's a hard question. Like, I don't think even people who have, you know, who have never grown up with these kind of games, you never know. They might have a completely different opinion based on, like, how, you know, they would like to listen to this music, or sound effects, or, you know, what other type, you know, like how they look at the game. I missed it. I'm gonna take this opportunity to look through this, through here. Alright. Boop. But yeah, I guess the point I'm trying to make is, you know, you know, the point of the stream is to try and, you know, get the presentation to be as accurate as possible. But, you know, sometimes I just can't quite recreate that with what I got. So, you know, like the Game Boy Advance stream that I did with some friends of mine where we were playing multiplayer was done through VBA Link, which is an offshoot of the Game Boy Advance emulator Visual Boy Advance, but it has the ability to make use of link cable functions. And that is awesome, because it is so hard, like, especially since, you know, I tried to see if I could, like, hunt down, like, multiple copies of, like, Sonic Advance and some link cables, but to be able to get, like, the video feed from up to 4 systems at once, and to be able to procure copies of Sonic Advance for, like, a quarter, or something, like, you know, for very cheap, it's actually hard. Unless, I guess you could go to, like, a thrift store or a swap meet or something like that. You might have a better chance that way. But, you know, it was just easier to pull off with emulation, and while it had some inaccuracies, some of it was due to the fact that, like, that's just how the game runs normally, and, like, just, like, how inaccurate emulation can get. And there's still some stuff that is just not properly emulated whatsoever. And in some cases, like, amateurs, like, you know, amateur game development, or emulation development, has more so than not have surpassed, like, commercial emulation. Excuse me. Like, say if you wanted to get, like, original Game Boy games and you wanted to play multiplayer on the Nintendo 3DS Virtual Console. Well, unfortunately, you can't do that. There is no link cable functionality for original Game Boy Color, or even Game Boy Advance games, simply because the emulation involved is just too difficult. And yet, for whatever reason, 3DS Virtual Console for Game Gear lets you do that just fine. Oh yeah, Metropolis Zone here is just nothing for me, because you kind of get the idea that you can just warp through, like, the level warps vertically, and I can't do that trick where you sink into lava in this version, because that got fixed. So yeah, bugs like that, like, that's cool that I can pull it off, but I can't do it anymore because of this version. And what if this is, you know, like, the only way to play Sonic 2 anymore? You know, as much as people want to see this version of Sonic 2 on, like, Xbox Live Arcade, it's probably not accurate to their nostalgia. But then again, anything done by Digital Eclipse, unless it's Street Fighter, is just kind of crap. And emulation efforts like that really bum me out. Which is why I more wholeheartedly recommend that, you know, everyone try and support M2's efforts as much as possible. Understandably, you probably don't want to play, like, Sonic the Hedgehog on your Nintendo 3DS, even though it's just the Genesis game all over again with some okay 3D special effects added in, but, you know, the level of effort that went into it is pretty astounding. But more so, I do recommend, like, their arcade ports that have appeared on the 3DS Virtual Console. Although they probably don't consider it Virtual Console on the service, but, like, 3D Galaxy Force 2 is awesome. Even though I'm not very good at the game, I really like looking at the 3D effects on that title. Especially since I think that's, like, the best use of the 3D on the Nintendo 3DS. But again, it depends on, like, how much you're willing to spend on an arcade ROM. Alright. That's good. Jason is asking if I'm a fan of the not a bug as a feature mentality. I'm not sure. Because, you know, those bugs that are in, like, you know, say if we were to play Sonic the Hedgehog 3, like, a lot of those issues that game has, it kind of sucks. And, you know, stuff like that should have been fixed in the first place. And obviously, a lot of the problems that that game has is not really developer intended. Which is why it's so hard for me to kind of get into, like, you know, speedrunning or like any major fighting game like well, not really Smash Brothers. God no. I mean like Street Fighter, because there are a lot of technical aspects that are really hard to get a grasp on, and there are people who spend a hell of a lot more time with it than I possibly ever could. Then again, that same amount of time and effort probably could have gone into that instead of me playing Sonic games for 20 years. You could make that argument. Because I can basically break this game on its knee and be like, yeah, whatever. And then, when I get my ass handed to me to somebody playing, like, Street Fighter 4 because they know how to control, like, air maneuvering of their characters and, like, all the different techniques that they can make use of with the character special attacks. Like, there is definitely some merit for it, but, you know, I don't want to say it's like, it's wrong, so, in my book, so it should be wrong in everybody else's book. Like, I don't want to say something like that. I just have a problem if there's, like, a pretentious, aspect to it. Like, the Smash Brothers community, I think, is just extremely toxic. Like, anything with a competitive aspect to it, like, even if you were to play Left 4 Dead, like, it is impossible to play Left 4 Dead casually. And that kind of sucks, because that makes me enjoy the game way less. Because I don't get a chance... Damn it. I don't get much of a chance to play that game with friends very often. So as a result... Ugh. This is going poorly, folks. Let's see if I can get Tails to help out. Because, who put this checkpoint here where there's no rings? That's kind of funny. Alright. But anyway, my beef with the Smash Brothers community is that, you know, they love Smash Brothers Melee a lot, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that it has that wave dashing ability that the community has kind of discovered, and a lot of people refuse to play the game any other way, and so much so that, you know, they swear off of games like Smash Brothers Brawl, and, you know, even like Sakurai, who's made Smash Brothers. You know, he made it very clear, especially during E3 when he was presenting the new Smash Brothers game. It is, by and large, a party game, but, you know, he did try to throw a bone for the community that, that kind of worships the game on a competitive note. But to say that that's what Nintendo needs to be looking into, well, that's not their target audience. Their target audience deals more into, like, their target audience deals more into, you know, family-oriented stuff. Like, something that everybody can get into. Like, that is what, you know, Nintendo likes to strive towards, and dang it. That's what I appreciate them doing from a game design standpoint. That's not to say that, you know, games made entirely for competitive purposes should not exist. It's just, it's hard to maintain, especially these days, it's hard to maintain, like, a good community around it, because the community, from a competitive standpoint, they need to be able to make sure that it can stay interesting, and that's what keeps the game going, and that's what, you know, by and large, you know, will drive sales. But if it becomes toxic to where it is uninviting, then the community will continue to shrink until, like, the only people that are left are, like, the same people who just expect more and more out of something that is really hard to extrapolate out of Tales. So it's very hard to make, like, new iterations of Street Fighter, make new iterations of Call of Duty, new iterations of Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, things like that. Like, is there, like, it's a hard balance of, like, trying to surprise old people, like, you know, people who have stuck with, you know, what they love for years, and surprise them with something new. I mean, you could probably argue with, like, Sonic, like, a lot of the issues people come out of with that is just poor game design for, like, the 3D games compared to, like, something like Sonic 2, which is a much more solid game than Sonic Adventure ever could be. But what makes Sonic Adventure great, you know, is not so much the gameplay, but kind of its storytelling. You know, as much as hokey as the storytelling is, you know... Ugh. I'm having a hard time with this zone. I'm sorry. Yeah, I kind of want to concentrate to fight this boss, because I actually hate this boss without Supersonic. Because I'm so used to just destroying this boss very quickly and easily. Come here, Tails. Come on. Ugh. Oh, wait. Let's do this. I'm trying to hold down, but I can't see where down is on the touchscreen here. Alright, we're gonna try this here. Come on, Tails. Ah, okay, his invincibility frames are too long for that to work. Ah. Although, thankfully, this boss is at the point where it's easy to just hit him straight up. Wait. I want to see his full path here and see what he does. So he's supposed to do this, fly left and right on the screen, right? I'm so used to not seeing that. See, a lot of people are talking about how people can like getting into Pokemon competitively. Whew, I apologize about those weird noises. We are going on 2 hours now of our Sonic birthday celebration, and we are over 60 views. Awesome. Let's keep it going. I am basically just going to keep playing until the wheels fall off at this point. But you know, like... Let's mention, like, one thing about, like, the whole competitive nature of, like, video games and, like, how it's hard to surprise people. Like, you know, Summer Games Done Quick had just finished their Sonic 2 run, and they generally hate, like, auto-scroller stages like this, because it takes... Not only does it take too long, there's, like, nothing you can really do to improve, your gameplay experience, you know, and play more effectively, because there's no point. But then, you miss certain points of, like, what, you know, the game, what the developers are trying to get you to go through, like this music that is being drowned out by this, aeroplane. Like, speedrunners apparently want to get rid of sequences like this, where you just listen to amazing song, and just look at these hot graphics of hot, fast-moving graphics, and just kind of relax. Like, I don't want, you know, certain, like, you know, things that are kind of, you know, controlled by, you know, a community that kind of isn't appreciating, I mean, it's not like they don't know how to appreciate something like this song or this sequence. It's just a matter of, like, you know, set pieces like that, you know, it's hard to kind of, you know, make it seem interesting, you know, again, while trying to surprise new players, new and old players at the same time, through, you know, just little sections like that, which are just nice and relaxing, especially since, like, this is near the end of the game, and this is the point where you could very easily screw everything over. Like, I've played for nearly an hour at this point, and like, it could all just go to shit. Basically. Yeah. I got yelled at, when I was recording this for the first time, this version of the game, because I skipped the conveyor belts that are down here. And in this version, they actually work. In the original Sonic 2, these conveyor belts do not move you whatsoever. Cool, huh? I'm also missing, like, all these different weird set pieces, like, you know, having Sonic being blown away by an air current. Or is that... No, I already passed it up, that's right. So yeah, I just missed something again, but oh well. Alright. Yeah, we're getting it down to the end of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 here. There we go. Ha ha ha. I love in Sonic 2 XL, if you play on this part of the game, and if you make Sonic 2 fat, and you try and get him to jump on the plane, he can't make the plane, which is amazing. Check it out what you guys are talking about in the chat. Ah, we lost some viewers, but that's okay. I notice, Nabo THD, can't really pronounce it correctly, sorry. Yeah, a lot of you guys are talking about Pokemon in here, and yeah, like, it does give you a new level of appreciation if you look at something like from a speedrunning perspective or something like that. Like, it's just a new way to play an old game, and you know what? Stuff like that is really cool and interesting to, like, extend the life of a game. And I don't think that should ever go away. Ever. I'm even into speedrunning myself. In fact, I'm kind of bummed out that Darkspine Sonic is not going to be at this year's SGDQ. At least as far as I know, he's not there. Alright. And you know what? I actually, when I first started playing this game, actually I'm going to kill myself. I want to play it the way that, how I figured it out. Back when I was a kid, I actually impressed a lot of people that I could skip straight to the last level and defeat these bosses very quickly. Oh, what? Oh, that's bad. Eh. I'm just gonna wait. Well, like, again, what I'm trying to talk about is, like, I figured out, like, because I was, like, so good at playing the game... Whoa. I actually found a new way to kind of, like, play the game and challenge myself by trying to finish the game as quickly as possible. Oh my god, touch controls. It also doesn't help that, my HDMI cable is actually manipulating the screen, which is not good. But, like, I've figured out how to fight this boss like this. And you know what? I'm going to play it safe so I don't mess up. So, yeah. Oh no! That is not playing it safe. If I get a game over, I lose. This sucks. I better not lose. I will be so upset if I do that. Ah! Whew! And this is not going to be a very happy birthday for Sonic if I get a game over here. Woo! Alright. Alright, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it this way one more time. Let's do it. Like, you can jump there! And it's risky. Oh. I'm getting... Yeah. Aww. Well, that sucks. Oh, I have continues. I forgot. I thought I didn't get any. I forgot I did. Oh well, that's good. That means I have a few more tries. I am going to finish this game. I swear. And then we're gonna move on to the next one. More Sonic. Whew. Again, I don't like using touch controls, and I'm gonna be so happy that I can drop this. Not that the touch controls are bad, but as you can tell, trying to look at this TV while playing on this tablet, no indication of like where anything is difficult. Alright. There we go. I'm gonna jump over here because I don't want to deal with that. I hate those arms. See, I told you we'd finish it. Alright, that's it. I thought the game froze for a second. I'm gonna read the chat while this goes. Let me just crank up this music. Alright. Oh, let me turn this down a little bit. While these credit sequence rolls, I'm going to take a small break, but I'm going to say it's time to move on to some Dreamcast, so I want you guys to vote one more time if we should play Sonic Adventure 1 or Sonic Adventure 2. And we're going to play, and for Sonic Adventure 1 we're just going to go through Sonic Story, or if we play Sonic Adventure 2, we'll just play just the Sonic stages. Or if people really want to, I'll play through like the Hero or Dark Side story, but only one. But again, vote for Sonic Adventure 1 Sonic Story, or Sonic Stages for Sonic Adventure 2. And it's going to be on an actual Dreamcast, so vote right now.